Okay, Brachus.
I'm Brachus, or Todd, whichever. Probably Brachus.
Next step on the block is Lord Casus.
Hey, I'm Eric, and I'll be playing your resident Mad Wizard.
Your name's not really Rick?
No, but like you can shorten it that way.
Mysteries revealed in the lands of Barovia. And
Right.
Zalfar.
My name is Ruben, or that's what it's going to be for now, and I am playing the halfling Zulfar.
You don't get out of this. You tell us your real name right now.
I made sacrifices, man.
It is redacted.
That's your name from now on.
Redacted. So we last left our heroes in their brief intros on the old Svalak road, heading west into the lands of Barovia. It was raining, a stormy night. Thunder claps sounded above them. And all three heroes find themselves wet, miserable, and surrounded by the ghostly mists that seem to stand in ever-vigilant watch, surveying them. Almost immediately, after an hour or so of walking, a presence strikes you, Lord Karsus, followed by you as well, Brachus, as you feel eyes from behind watching you. You turn around, and peering around the trunk of a tree is the face of a halfling.
Lord Karsus will raise the light on the end of his staff high and shout, "Who goes there?"
Hello, travelers. My name is Zulfar. How do you do?
Wet. Lost.
How does it look?
Confused. Do you know where we are?
On a road, of course.
But where?
That I have not known. All I know is that a mist swallowed me. I appeared here, so here I shall be.
Step out from behind that tree. Reveal yourself, brigand.
And as you ask, I will step out of the tree. I am wearing nicer clothes. Like, they're still traveling clothes, but they're made of finer things than what you'd see a commoner wear.
Lord Karsus is also wearing some reasonably nice robes. He has a staff. He's got his hood up. Otherwise looks humanoid in shape.
Yeah, Baraka's not so much. He's wearing just a pair of very simple pants, completely barefoot, bare-chested, a pair of large bat wings protruding from his back. But he'll kind of step forward as you do and say, "We're traveling to a nearby town, or at least so this one says," and I'll point to the friar. I was swallowed by the mist as well. Did you see the wolves?
I heard them, but I definitely did not see them.
They walk on 2 feet. They're, and I'll look in the direction we came, chasing us.
Are you sure? After a moment of contemplation, they seem to disappear. Are you sure it's not all in your head?
I've seen what they tore someone I knew apart.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. Then maybe it's best we move on towards the town then.
And as you say this, Zalfar, you feel a presence behind you. As a woman walks through the mists, revealing herself, well, perhaps not intentionally so. She appears to have been attempting to conceal her presence.
Do I see the halfling turn and stare at me?
You'll probably get the feeling like that he's noticed you, but if one wishes to be in the shadows, he understands the plight of being seen, so he won't say anything. If you choose to come out, then you can come out, but he knows you're there.
She'll step out and look at the halfling. You need to learn to hide better, boy. You're as bad as I am.
Two brigands?
Unfamiliar environments do not lend to one's sneak.
Neither does chainmail.
Who is that?
Are we surrounded?
No idea. And who are you, miss?
Sorry, I am Strix. I was following a wagon. Have you seen it?
Following a wagon from where?
That way. I point behind me.
We've been on the road. Are you from here?
No. This may sound odd, but a group of gypsies were taking me to see their leader. They left before I arrived to meet back up with them.
Have you seen them since the fog?
No. And I have the sneaking suspicion they wanted me to walk into the fog.
Wherever we are now, it's not where you think we were.
That does seem to be the theme.
Friar, are you with us?
Yes, this damnable lantern.
Alright, well, now that you've gotten that figured out, could you please tell us where we were going?
West.
Right.
This is
There's
Well,
a-
it's neither right nor left. It's absolutely down this road towards the west.
what?
What was the name of the keep?
There's even
What was the name of the keep that laid up ahead?
Yeah, the one that he believes we're heading towards.
Harold's Holding. Well, no, technically it was Silver Moon. The keep of Silver Moon.
right. So, I mean, that's not where I was originally intended. I received this letter, and I bring the letter out from my pocket. I have this letter, and I'm searching for Barovia, and I've researched it, and I researched it, and it doesn't seem to exist. However, I found a few places that seem likely to be the same place, and perhaps, through the science of languages, things change. They're not always called the same thing, and I think I've got a line of where it is that I'm supposed to go. You guys felt like it was bad form to go forward with those wolves, so, I mean, if we need to go back to the hold, that's fine. We can certainly do that and seek shelter. But there's a desperate need for help in this land called Barovia.
Whatever else happens, perhaps you should put that letter back in your pocket before it is destroyed by the rain.
I think I'm quite adept at handling documents, good sir.
The gypsies said they were headed to Barovia. I believe this road will take us there. If we're not already there.
So what do you do?
Well, if you two brigands can keep up, I suppose you can follow us, but no funny stuff. and Lord Karsus will start moving west.
I am no brigand, old man.
He says strange things. I wouldn't pay them any attention. And Baracus will turn and start to follow.
Strix will as well.
Whoop.
Should look back over her shoulder the way we came, though. Which were the do I know what direction the tracks were leading that I was following? Are to
They
the
were
west?
heading west.
Does anyone have a compass?
Only when the stars are friendly.
Well, tonight won't be that night. I point up to the cloud cover.
We are going the right way, I'm sure of it.
Well, this is the way that when I left the hold, I was heading west. However, these gentlemen, when we met, there seems to be confusion about our compass points. I feel that we should continue down the path, and I point towards what I believe to be the west.
Which is the direction Karsus and Baracus are already marching.
So you head west on the Old Svalak Road. It is not long before you encounter a rather large gate nestled between the masses of the woods on either side of you. Fallen down before the gate are the heads of the two statues that lay in front of it. These statues staring up at the sky, looking forlorn, as though asking the heavens, why? Why did these gods come down upon them and sever their heads off of their stone bodies? The gate appears to be closed. The portcullis dropped down to the ground as you make your approach.
Is there anything at all familiar about the faces or the design of the statues?
Nothing familiar whatsoever.
Are there any lamps or anything?
There are no lights except those that you provide yourself.
Karsus will give the statues a passing glance, but stride straight in.
Are the gates closed?
The gates are closed when you first gaze upon them, but as Karsus makes his approach, the gates open for him, slowly winding their way up until they are open completely.
Is there anybody to greet him?
There is not. There appears not a soul in sight, save for the party behind you.
Karsus will keep going in and explore.
Okay, what does everyone else do?
I take a moment to examine the gates to see if they opened of some mechanical. I look for like any kind of pulleys or other systems that might. It's interesting that gates would open of their own accord like that.
It is, and you see no mechanics in regard to the gate whatsoever that would assist in it opening by itself.
Most unusual.
I'll just do a perception check. Strix will see if she can hear anything over the storm.
Strix closes her eyes for a second, focuses on her hearing, on the lulls between cracks of thunder rolling in the heavens above, and besides the conversations happening within the party, she doesn't hear anything else over the storm.
Let's continue on. Stay together.
Strix will ask the fiend if she's. Do you know if this old man has been here before? He seems overly confident.
Arrogance. I don't think he knows where he is. Or who he is. Seen him cast magic, though.
So Lord Karsus pushes forward past the gates. Is there anything else with the gates that the rest of the party would like to do?
I'll take a moment, if it doesn't look like Karsus will get too far down the road, and see if there's any inscriptions or anything on the statues. Or any external markings.
You said the faces were destroyed?
The heads were severed off of the statues that lay before the gates.
Okay.
Their faces, however, just look up in perhaps tormented agony at the heavens above, asking why.
I just want to look at the statues and see if it seems that. I don't know if there's any way I could tell if it's a natural disaster or erosion, or if it looks like it was a man-made decapitation.
It looks as though it was a man-made decapitation, a defacing.
Strix
A
will move
beheading,
on
if
then
you will.
to follow Lord Garthus.
And then, Baracus, what were you investigating once more?
A lot of those questions. Mostly just the statues, to see if there are any type of third-party markings on them or interesting inscriptions.
There are no runes or words carved into the statues themselves, no. The only defacing that seems to have been done to them seems to be the severing of their heads.
Okay.
Are they entirely stonework, or are there any, like, is there any additive? Like, is there any like steel or bronze work or any metalwork or anything like that integrated with it, or is it just purely carved stone?
It is purely carved stone. Also, I'm not sure if you all can see your token on the map
Oh yeah.
for the
party
party.
token.
Yep.
Totally.
You all have control of that token, so feel free to move about as you see fit.
We're heading into the fence, right?
Yes.
Do we want to dedicate one person to move the party token for now?
Whoever
so we-
just did.
I meant for the game, so we don't try and move it all in 600 different directions.
I nominate Lord Karthus. He's the one who seems to be the most.
Standard
outgoing.
IT rule is the last person to touch it owns it.
Yeah. Alright, Lord, take it away. I believe each one is... Oh, I thought each one was going to be a mile.
Oh, hexes. That's why it's being interesting.
We've been hexed.
There's hexes in there.
Well, Lord Karsus is, keeping an eye out to the woods to the side, but otherwise continuing down the road.
As we pass through the gate, I'm gonna check the backside of the stonework and the gate work just to make sure there's. I'm always suspicious of greetings or exit phrases that different cultures might use.
Okay.
Or not suspicious, but interested.
Am I safe in assuming that Zelfar is the last one across the threshold of the gate?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Zelfar, you cross the gate and turn around, and as you turn around, the portcullis grinds to a close, loud screeching sounds emanating from the steel as it shuts immediately in your face.
Well, how rude. Damn door.
As you examine the other side for markings, carvings, or any other kind of possible warning, you don't seem to find any.
So no exit sign that says you're now leaving XYZ or anything like that.
Exactly, there is no such sign on the gates.
The mystery continues.
Rather poor magecraft, if you ask me, to allow it to be so loud.
Or perhaps ancient.
Okay, go ahead and move. As you begin passing through this narrow, winding road, towering trees whose tops are lost in heavy gray mist block out all but a death gray light and the sudden flashes from the storm. The tree trunks are naturally close to one another, and the woods have the silence of a forgotten grave, yet exude the feeling of an unvoiced scream. Friar Bernard, an interesting scent tickles your nose, a sweet, sickly scent of rotting flesh and decay.
Does anybody smell that? Smells of death. I've smelt it in crypts when I've gone researching ancient burial grounds.
What do you smell?
Death. That death. That dry, that musty decay. The smell of a dead body. Do you not smell it?
Lord Carsus pulls open his robes and sniffs in them.
It is not you, Lord Carsus.
Good to know.
Okay, sniff the air.
I'm not used to smelling that in the out of doors.
If a brief glance around reveals nothing, Lord Carsus will continue marching.
The wafts of the air, as they enter your noses, Zalfar and Baracus, they point you in one specific direction to the southeast,
Into the trees.
into the trees.
I'll stand on the edge of the road and kind of peer inside and say, I smell it too. From here.
Should we investigate?
It doesn't smell rancid, right? It smells more of that just decayish, that brackus kind of decay smell.
It smells, I would say, a little rancid. Most definitely, the taint of age upon the decay is mixed in with the scent of, well, rather fresh decay as well, as though it is slowly spreading. So you do get that rancid waft every now and then, but you still get a mostly sweet scent.
So I'm trying to figure out, is it more like a rotted meat carcass smell, or is it more like, moldy leaves or material like a bag of vegetables gone rancid?
Most definitely, it is the scent of a carcass.
Yeah, definitely death. Definitely smells of death.
Should we check it out?
I think we should.
Do I see any marks in the, like any prints or anything like that on the trail?
From this side of things, you do not. The only thing that guides you is your nose.
Watch for those wolves. Remember the wolves we heard just a bit ago? I wouldn't want to stumble on a wolf kill. They would be most protective of anything that they were to have taken down.
I'll remind you again, they are not simple wolves. They walk upright on two legs.
Surely whatever magic put up the gate has also some kind of ward to keep them out.
There was no other fence or walls, just a gate.
You're not certain they heard you here. Is this where they want you?
Herding would seem likely. They've increased in number since we arrived.
Lord Karsus holds his staff out in front of him and starts poking his way into the forest in the direction everyone was looking.
Let's continue on to this road, to this keep. No business out here.
You're not curious. Perhaps a survivor who can tell us where we are.
Search for survivors inside city walls. They're not here on the path.
I'll whistle sharply to try to get Karsus's attention then, since he went into the woods.
I doubt I can convince the wolves that we just met.
I'd like to know what it is.
Karsus hasn't made it very far in. He comes back with an annoyed look on his face, brushing leaves out of his hair.
We're not certain it's worth the investment.
What investment?
Time.
Our lives.
As you talk amongst yourselves on the road, a wolf howls in the distance.
They're far away. Let's go find out what it is.
Lord Karsus sighs and starts marching down the road again.
Yeah, I'll tap the friar on the shoulder and say, "No, if we can hear them, they're close. Let's continue."
If it's
And
dead,
as we walk-
it'll be there
as we walk-
tomorrow.
As we walk down the path, I will continuously look over my shoulder, but don't you want to know?
I do. But I don't want to end up like it.
Well, let's make note of it, and I'll take a little stick or some pebbles or something and make a marker. Perhaps if we come back this way tomorrow, we can check it out. And I'll put a mark on the side of the path so that we can remember to.
Friar Bernard, just as you're about to put down a marker, the halflings afar pops out of the woodwork.
I will lash out with a foot. Gah! I have no foot combat skills.
Or should I say, opening the envelope before I read its contents?
Okay, you open the envelope and pull out its contents, and there's a sudden jar of motion as a foot is sent your general direction by Friar Bernard, as he is surprised.
I will, assuming I am not paying attention, I will catch that foot on the chest and fall down. Ow! What was that for?
That was for. Oh. Who are you?
Zelfar, I've been traveling with you, you fool.
What are you doing in the bushes? You're not the. I smell him. Make sure he doesn't smell dead. It's not you.
What are you doing? Of course
Don't
it's
do
not
that.
me. It was the poor fool who found himself dead over in the bushes.
Well, he's probably the poor fool that jumped out of the bushes at somebody and ended up with a crossbow through the eye.
There was no crossbow bolts at all.
Only because I have studied the fine art of discipline all these many years and restrained myself. And I pat my crossbow. You were an inch's breadth from death itself.
You kicked me while I wasn't paying attention. That hardly counts. Now
Was
help
in your
me up and
hands.
let's get moving.
I'll help him up.
It was the envelope. That smell. It was a corpse. I found about 15 feet from the road.
Does it
He
look
had
like the
claw
envelope that I had?
marks. I don't know. I don't know if I saw your envelope.
No. Are you holding the envelope?
I am opening the envelope, so I was just starting to read the letter as you kicked me in the chest.
That's where I was taught to kick people.
I can see who our warrior is.
I take that as a compliment.
So from here, I take it the party continues on as Zalfar reads the envelope, or
Does-
what do you guys do?
Does his envelope look like the same envelope that I have?
It looks very similar. In fact, on the envelope where the seal was broken, you see almost a more perfect sigil of a bee.
And I'll take the envelope out of my pocket or out of my pouch and say, very similar to the same invitation that I received. Is it signed to Burgomaster?
I have not gotten a chance to read it yet.
So this is the handout or the letter that Zalfar is currently reading.
It's not dated, is it?
It is not.
Drat.
And as he's reading this parchment, drops of water are splattering on the paper, causing it to grow brittle.
If it's just a copy, that's fine.
I assume these guys reading their letters are keeping up with the rest of the party.
I assume you didn't sprint ahead, so yeah.
No, but we are moving.
That's it's similar, but there are distinct differences between that script and the script that I received.
Do you know this person?
The Burgermeister, that's the same. Well, it's the same invitation. It's a similar invitation, I should say. The words are slightly different, but the sentiment is the same. However, there's reference in what good Zalfar found to a vampire that was not in my script.
Well, between the vampires and the claw marks I saw on that body, I feel as though we should move quickly and find safe haven.
That's what we're doing. Catch up.
So as you push forward, a few hours pass, and the sounds of rolling thunder fade to the soft fall of rain as the storm lessens in severity. With this, the mists become thick and suffocating as they choke your vision and sight, forcing you to see mere feet in front of you as you're moving down this road. Visibility is severely limited. But go ahead and continue moving.
Good Zalfar, did you find any other items with the body?
I did not have much time to look, but I did not find of anything of importance.
That seems distinctly different than finding anything at all.
I found the letter, didn't I? That was about the only important thing I had found.
Perhaps one day we will discourse about what is and is not important to you.
You continue
There's-
making your way down the old Sphalic road.
As we do, I point out there's very clear differences between the letter that I received that motivated me to leave the hold and take on the journey compared to what Zalfur found. They're close, but although similar, it's a different hand, amongst other things. The tone of the letter is also different.
Are you going to tell us how, or are you going to continue to tell us that they are different?
Well, the tone, the letter that I received had a positive spin to it, where there was hope. But if you read what Zalfur found, that seems to be more a letter of despair and a sense of, I don't know.
So maybe yours is the forgery and mine's the original.
At this distance, on the farthest reaches of your sight, you see the outline of a village ahead. Small tendrils of smoke curl from chimneys, blending with the mists. You realize, as you're able to see this village, that the mists appear to be pulling back from your vision before you, but not to either side, nor is it pulling back and receding from behind.
Lord Karsus is going to keep walking forward.
I'll stay with the old man.
To be clear, Lord Karsus isn't an old man.
Oh. They're old to me. Now, how old are you?
He looks to be in his 20s.
Oh, jeez. I'm twice your age. Never mind.
The youthful punk.
You sound like an old man.
Lord Karsus is going to stride up to the first door he sees and bang on it with his staff. Well, not bang, but tap on it.
Perhaps we should find a public house, or perhaps a tavern versus a residence.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Well, we have to ask somebody in town. I can hardly see with this mist.
So you enter the village and approach the first door of the house on your left. With your staff, you rap the front door, but there is no answer. Thick mists claw at the streets, blotting out your vision before you, but seem to be clear leading forward and to the right, as though the mist is shaping to the contours of the road before you.
Is it possible to discern from the road whether or not it's been recently used? Like, are there ruts or footprints or anything like that would suggest that there was heavy traffic?
Yes, the road does seem to be well traveled, with many of footprints creating grooves in the dirt street.
Is the chimney of the house Karsus just wrapped upon, is it smoking?
The faint trails of smoke do leave the chimney, and as you stand before the door, you take in the features of the house and notice that all the windows are shuttered, and that there is no light glowing from the other side of those shutters.
Karsus will rap on the door again and speak at the door, I suppose. Who's in there? Open up!
Leave off. I'm sure we can find something up ahead.
He sighs and continues marching.
Baracus will step up to the door and say, sorry, and then follow.
The mist leaves your sight clear before you down the road, and you see the faint outline of two children. The taller of the two seems to be caring for and holding close the smaller. Their cries of sorrow and anguish, though an attempt to muffle, are failed, and they carry, reverberating through the streets and into your ears.
Are there any more sounds, wolf sounds in particular? But I'm also listening for should there be any a livery or livery, depending on where you're from, that would
There are
have horses or mules, donkeys, anything like that, chickens.
There are no sounds of the usual livery of a village, nor before you or behind you. The only sounds you can hear are the muffled cries of the two children before you.
Do they look human?
From the distance you're currently at, yes, they do.
Karsus will keep walking.
Perhaps the young ones can tell us where an inn or public house might be.
Shh. Karsus, as you make your approach, the taller of the two, a young girl, perhaps no older than 10, looks up. A flicker of hope flashes before her eyes.
Now there, you! Stop crying. I have some questions for you.
Questions?
Yes. First of all, what are the two of you doing in the middle of the road in the rain, crying?
We can't go home. There's a monster in the basement.
He just shakes his head in confusion.
Please. Rose, the girl, reaches her hand down and clasps the hand of the younger boy and pulls him forward as they approach you. They stop a fair distance away, but close enough so that all of you are within earshot. Please, sir, you must help me and my brother.
Help you what?
Take care of the monster that's taking control of our home.
And where is this monster?
It's in the basement of our house. If you follow, I can show you.
If it gets me out of this awful rain, I will follow you wherever you will lead us.
Is there a common house, an inn, a tavern?
An inn? I'm not sure about any sort of inn.
Not sure. You call this town your home, correct? An inn, a place where guests and visitors stay.
Before the monster, my parents, they wouldn't let us out of the house.
Very well, we shall come see about this monster of yours.
Thank you, sir.
Lead on.
Where are your parents?
They went down to fight the monster, says the little boy.
How long ago?
Why are we going to fight him?
Sometime They said that they'd be right back, but they never came back.
I'll look at buildings as we move along to see if there's any that have signage that resembles a tavern or inn.
All the windows you pass appear to be boarded and dark of light. And a large building that you pass on your left-hand side seems to bear the semblance of many taverns and inns you've seen before, but the door is closed and the windows are shuttered, and there is no smoke leaving from the chimneys.
I think I saw the inn back there.
Then help yourself.
Well, it didn't appear to be open for business.
Luckily, a child has a fair home we can still borrow.
But with a monster in it?
Don't be. So Strix will just turn and smile at the friar. There are monsters out here too, old man. You're old, right?
Why do you call everyone old
I
man?
have no idea of age. I have been locked away for a good time. Strix will just shake her head.
It's an interesting choice of terminology. Perhaps one day we can discuss where it comes from.
My mother. Let's not talk of that.
Oh, most interesting.
The two children.
You have
two
issues
children-
discussing your mother?
Sorry. The two children guide you to a 3-story house, which also seems to have space for an attic or a 4th story of some kind at the top. The walls are rather well maintained, with some slight vine growth reaching up the side, and 2 chimneys on either side let loose a soft stream of white smoke. The mist at this point seems to almost be afraid to go near the house as it pulls back 10 to 15 feet away, revealing the house in all of its glory before you.
And I shall tell you one thing. If ever I find out who the Arcanist is responsible for this mist, I shall have words with him.
The little boy kind of places his index finger at the corner of his mouth, and he looks up at you and goes, Arcanist?
Don't scare the child. Is this your home?
Yes, this is our home.
You'll wait outside for us?
We will. I'll tend to my brother and ensure that he does not go off and wander. She kind of looks down at her brother and ruffles his hair.
I'll look at the little brother and yeah. What is your name?
My name is the Thornbolt, but Rose just calls me Thorn.
Thor. I like it.
No, Thorn.
Like
The
a
boy's
rose.
name is Thorn, and I am Rose.
Very well. Don't go far. And I will see if the door is open.
You approach the front entrance of the house, and the house, before you reach the front door, is actually guarded by a gate.
Like one of those gates that I can like lean over and unlatch, or is it like 6 feet tall?
It's one of those gates where you could probably reach through and open it, or open it from your side just by pushing forward on it.
Okay. I'll try to do so.
You push forward on the gate and it opens. Well oiled and lubricated, it opens without a sound.
Take a step towards the door itself. I'm actually going to draw my greatsword and just sort of let it rest against my shoulder as I walk. Look back at the rest to make sure they're following.
Lord Karsus is close behind, and he's holding his staff up so you can see by it, even though you don't need it.
Inside this narrow landing, you see that oil lamps hang from the portico by chains, though neither of the two lamps appear to be lit. They flank a pair of heavy oaken doors.
Is this blocking us off? This whatever this is.
I think that's the fence.
That's the metal gate that you pushed open.
Oh, okay. Then I will give the knob a squeeze or twist or turn.
You turn the knob and the door opens, revealing a foyer.
And I'll step inside.
The foyer is well kept. Its wooden floors polished to a immaculate shine. On the south wall hangs a emblazoned coat of arms, a stylized golden windmill, sitting on top of a red field.
Is anyone else's screen all black, or is that just mine?
Lower left corner.
There we go.
There we go.
Are there any coat racks?
There does not appear to be any coat racks in the foyer.
Are you people coming or what?
Or what seems to be an option?
Stay out here if you like. I don't think it's much safer.
On either side of the stylized coat of arms are portraits that appear to be ancestors of Rose and Thorn. Their facial features certainly do bear a resemblance, but they appear to be in older-fashioned clothing.
The family appears to have had some wealth.
What do you mean had? This family is fine.
Didn't the children just say that their parents were consumed by some monster?
They said there was a monster in the basement and their parents went down and didn't come back, apparently.
Right.
That
And
that
when
doesn't
people
mean
don't
that
come
there's an
back-
actual monster down there.
When people don't come back, it's because the monster consumed them. I've read extensively on it.
Perhaps two parents simply wanted some alone time.
Well, this
Enough
should be-
chatter. Open the door, big man.
Baracus will reach for the next handle, kind of grinning to himself as he thinks about what it'll be like when a bunch of strangers barge in on the parents having a good time in the basement.
I believe that's called frolicking.
As he opens the door, it reveals a rather majestic main hall, the hallway stretching the width of the house to a sprawling spiral staircase at the south end. The north end of the house has a fireplace that has fresh logs placed within and a fully maintained stoking utensils to the right of it. Lamps are hung in various locations about the room, although they all appear to be unlit. The only light illuminating the house appears to be from Friar's lamp and from Lord Karsus's staff presently.
What about the fireplace? Seem like it's been used recently?
It does appear to have been used recently. However, it appears as though perhaps it hasn't been used within the last 24 hours.
Why is it so dark in here?
I don't know, lights on.
But who stays in that house with no lights?
For all your
Vampires.
knowledge, you're a slow one, aren't you?
Lord Karsus, you take a look about the area and look at the walls, and the walls are carved with ornate wood paneling, sculpted with images of vines, flowers, and nymphs and satyrs dancing among the flora.
Did the children look elfish? You
No,
said they were
I
humans,
believe.
right?
they looked human.
And I don't know if you saw my note. I'm checking out the paintings that are in the first room there. Is there anything distinctive about them?
There is not. Not anything that strikes you immediately.
No clear indication as to which direction the basement is from here, is there?
That is correct. There's no immediate indication of where the basement may be.
I'll just look towards Salfar, who appears to be heading towards a door, and kind of nod that I'm with him.
Karsus points at the fire, utters a word of power, and looks frustrated when nothing happens. He sighs and walks over a bit.
Strix will push open this door.
Does his words of power sound, to my Arcana skill, does his words of power, the fact that no reaction happened after he said whatever he said, does that make sense?
You know what? I'm going to let the GM field this one.
And I'm going to assume that typing sounds means that something might be coming.
Teeth appear all around you, and the house eats you.
Not
Oh,
Good
again.
first game.
The entire house was a mimic.
And you wondered why I didn't want to go wandering around in a dark house.
I found a broom closet. Does anyone want to tidy up a bit while we're here?
Yes, Strix opens the door and it reveals several black cloaks hanging from hooks on the walls. A top hat sits on a high shelf.
And is this a door to my north?
No, there's a... Oh, you're north, yes. That is a door, and that is a door.
Well, then I'll totally walk in here.
You walk through the door and it reveals a rather immaculately kept dining room. The centerpiece is a carved mahogany table surrounded by 8 high-backed chairs with sculpted armrests that are fashioned so that the hand rests are windmills, actually. Resplendent silverware and crystalware are set for dinner. And a crystal chandelier hangs from the table above.
How many places is it set for?
It is set for the full complement, actually. All 8 seats are currently set for.
8
Curses.
places set for dinner, but only the parents and the children here?
Sorry, say again? I didn't catch that.
Oh, I was just talking to the party.
Okay.
Karsus will pause to take off his cloak, shake out some of the water, and put it on one of the hooks before continuing on.
And Baracus will make a full circle. And presumably be able to open this door to a double back.
He sure does. The wall paneling in the dining room, by the way, is carved with elegant images of deer among the trees.
I'll continue to check out the artwork. I'm looking to see if there's any. It seems to be thematically consistent, right? I mean, done by the same artist and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
I'll open this door.
The woodwork here is astounding.
You open the door and you seem to have found the kitchen. It is tidy, well maintained, with every cooking utensil in its proper place and every knife in its proper home. A work table has a cutting board with a rolling pin atop it and what appears to be dough pressed out on the cutting board.
I'll give it a quick smell. It doesn't smell rancid, right? It's fresh.
Yes.
I'll open that door.
Is there any food visible in this room, like actual already prepared food?
There is not.
Oh well.
Probably consumed by the monster.
And you open the door, Strix?
Yep.
You open the door to reveal what appears to be a pantry, fully stocked with dried jerk, various fruits and vegetables, and a couple of full bags of flour on the floor.
Check out like a dried apple and toss it to the Lord as I go by.
Hey! This painting moved.
What? I was just about to open up this door and I'll turn around.
It moved. And I start poking at it.
What? Don't paintings move where you live?
Good Lord, no.
What do you mean it moved?
It moved.
Been
Say that
drinking too much?
This creature, and I point. There's sure it. I mean, it looks all nice and fluffy, but look, there's a wolf in there. Who the hell paints about a wolf eating a deer?
It doesn't seem that strange.
And Lord Karsus, you look, and at first glance, the wood paneling appears to be nothing more than deer frolicking in the woods. But as Friar Bernard points it out, you do see wolves painted in as though an optical illusion in the trees, stalking the deer-like prey. And as you look even closer, the wolf that Friar Bernard's pointing out does turn its head to look at you.
How delightful! Oh, excellent work, excellent work.
Delightful. Are you out of your mind?
Of course not.
Who does that?
And Baracus, you're going to the south room?
Yeah, I kind of shake my head as they revel in the painting, and I'm gonna open up this door.
This oak-paneled room looks like a hunter's den. Mounted above the fireplace is a stag's head, looking at rest, its neck turned, its head looking in the distance as though at a fascinating object. Positioned around the outskirts of the room are 3 stuffed wolves with their fangs bared, looking like they're circling around prey that may sit at the center of this room. 2 padded chairs are draped in animal furs and face the hearth. The hearth is also well stocked with wood, and appears to have been recently used, perhaps within the last day. An oak table between them supports a cask of wine, 2 carved wooden goblets, a pipe rack, and a candelabra. A chandelier hangs above a cloth-covered table surrounded by 4 chairs. There are 2 cabinets, one against the north wall and one against the east wall. The east cabinet is ordainedly carved and has images depicting hunters quarreling after their prey.
I'll kind of give a chuckle as I step in and say, if the friar is startled by a painting, wait until he steps in here.
Strix, you smell the wine and it smells delightful. It smells fresh, a nice red.
Strix will put a slosh of it in one of the cups and just stir it a little bit around and sip it.
As the wine passes through your lips and onto your tongue, it tastes sour, rotted, revolting even. Like you had just taken a sip of vinegar.
Just grimace and put it back on the table.
And Baracus, what were you investigating?
The cabinets. Take a peek inside the both of them and just see what things lay about.
Ah, so you try to open the east cabinet and the cabinet rattles as it appears to be locked.
Do you need some help there?
Just curious.
What are the chances we have to go upstairs to get downstairs?
Doesn't make sense to me, but this isn't my normal forte.
I will scoot over. Let me see what I can help you with. And I will try and pick the locks. Is that a straight dex check?
It's Dex, and then if you have proficiency in
Thieves' tools.
Thieves' tools, or is it still disabled device proficiency adds to lockpicking?
Nah, Thieves' tools is what it's called now.
Okay.
And I have a +4 to that.
Okay. So you definitely pull the thieves' tools out, and like a skilled artisan painting a masterpiece, you get to setting at the lock, and with a couple of swift movements, there's a soft click, and you're able to just open the cabinet.
Here you go, friend. Be curious to your heart's content.
I'll what starts as like a pat on the back turns into kind of like a hand across the face that pushes you slightly out of the way so that I can get to the chest or to the cabinet and open it.
You find the cabinet to be a weapons store. There is a heavy crossbow, a light crossbow, and a hand crossbow with a fair amount of ammunition for each underneath it. All three are immaculately held in some sort of wooden holding pittons that hold them by their arms. So you can see the beautiful craftsmanship that went into the bow and into the main body of the crossbow.
Strix will kind of a little bit shoulder past Brachus and reach for the heavy crossbow.
Yeah, I let her.
I think you have the right idea, my dear. And I'll grab the hand crossbow.
That seems to be your size.
Hey!
I think you had it right, Strix. We need to head up. How was the, and I'll reach for, you had set a cup down, right, of liquid?
Yeah.
And I'll cut my sentence off to reach for it and take a drink.
It's putrid. I will say only after he's taken a swallow.
You take a swallow of what appears to be a delicious, crisp red wine, and indeed, it tastes of spoilt vinegar.
Kinda take a deep breath. I've had worse. Sort of toss the cup down onto one of the chairs. Motion back towards the door. Suppose you're keeping that, just in case.
Of course, just in case. Always wanted one of these.
Come on, let's head up.
When you come out, you see Lord Karsus smiling at the painting, and then he turns back and starts trying to light the fire.
Carsus, where did the friar go?
He waves a hand negligently in this direction.
After a few attempts with the flint and steel, Lord Karsus, you do get a light going in the fire. Warmth spills over everybody in the main hall as it quickly blossoms into a rather nice blaze.
Truly magical, Lord Carsus.
Well, if it would just do what I tell it to. He sighs and warms his hands against it for a couple of seconds, and then he'll turn and follow.
Brother Bernard, we're heading upstairs. Are you with us? Would you like to maintain the pantry? Baracus will eerily look stairs and start to walk up stair by stair.
Sorry, where do I need to move so I can be with everybody? Like,
Back in the main room.
You begin climbing the stairs, ascending to the second floor. The railing is an immaculately polished brass as you scale up, and each orb at odd intervals on the railing appear to have been done in the form of a windmill.
I'd like to just run a finger over one of them as we go, and then just kind of like feel for texture. Does it feel like, do I get like a finger full of dirt and dust?
No.
Okay.
It comes back cleaner than almost anything else you've ever seen.
It's probably true.
Weren't we supposed to go to the basement? It seems the opposite.
Did you find a way down? All we found was a way up.
Why don't we go ask the children?
By all means. For now, I
It's
just
gotta-
enjoy not being in the rain.
It's got to be here somewhere.
I look back to the dark outside and think about whether or not I want to go back out there by myself.
I have time.
Karsus will give these statues a quick look over.
Yeah. I think we all do.
So unlit oil lamps are mounted on the walls of this elegant hall. Hanging above the mantelpiece is a wood-framed portrait of the Durst family. Gustav and Elizabeth Durst is what the placard says at the bottom, with their two smiling children, Roosevelt and Thornbolt. Cradled in the father's arms is a swaddled baby, which the mother regards with a hint of scorn. Standing suits of armor flank the wooden doors in the east and west. Each suit of armor clutches a spear and has a visored helm shaped like a wolf's head. The doors are carved with dancing youths, frolicking about amongst a merry pool.
Anything denoting a year or a date or anything like that?
Nothing denoting a year or a date. And Baracus, you don't notice anything odd about those statues. Oh, rather, suits of armor.
Do they have like visors over their face?
The visored helms are over where the face would be, and they're shaped like a wolf's head.
I just want to like reach out to this one to the northwest here and just sort of like see if I can like lift the visor.
You lift the visor, and it's empty. Empty suit of armor.
What a waste.
Karsus is going to
You
open
expect a
this door.
corpse.
Armor's better served on the battlefield.
I don't see you wearing it right now.
You open the door to what appears to have been a servant's room. It's an undecorated bedroom with a pair of beds uniformly dressed with fitted sheets. And at the foot of each bed is what appears to be a footlocker, both of which appear to be closed.
Servants' quarters. Karsus will close the door before the smell gets to him.
Okay.
Maybe this one will be more to your liking.
I nod and turn towards the north.
Strix, do you open the door?
Yes.
Red velvet drapes cover the windows of this room. An exquisite mahogany desk and a matching high-backed chair face the entrance and the fireplace, above which hangs a framed picture of a windmill perched atop a rocky crag. Situated in corners of the room are two overstuffed chairs, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lining the south wall. A rolling wooden ladder allows one to more easily reach the high shelves.
Brother, I think you'll spend your time in this room.
I scoff and turn around.
I don't know if you saw my note. Do the children in the painting look like the children that we met outside?
Yes, they do.
Similar in age or similar in appearance?
Similar in age and appearance.
Well, at least now we know what the parents would look like should we run into them.
And Zalfar,
Despite the fact that I'm just quite certain they've been consumed by monsters.
so the desk has several items resting on top it. An oil lamp, unlit, a jar of ink, a quill pen, a tinder box, and a letter kit containing a red wax candle. 4 blank sheets of parchment, and a wooden seal bearing the Durst family insignia, which appears to be, in fact, a windmill. The desk drawer is empty, except for an iron key.
I will take the iron key.
Are the books all in the same language?
Yes, they all appear to be written in common. Various topics as well.
Anything look familiar? Or like common books that would be among the aristocracy or the well-read?
Yes. The vast majority of the books here are in regards to various forms of art, music, and performance. There are also books on leading, being a politician, history of various governors and barons of the local area.
I'll pull a few of those texts out and put them on the desk and start flipping through lineages to see if I can find references to the Dursts, giving no regard to the fact that I don't own these texts at all.
As you're walking about the room, something about the sound of your footsteps as you're moving about the floor strikes you as odd. Specifically, the way the sound reverberates throughout the shelving of the book sounds nothing at all familiar to that of your library back in Harold's Holdfast. The variance appears to be coming from the south.
This doesn't sound very sound. If I was going to support
the weight of heavy bookshelves. I would make my construct much more durable, and I'll stomp on the floor a little bit.
It sounds sturdy. All the way around except for the southeastern corner, which comes back hollow as the reverberations din almost to a non-existence.
I'll move towards that area. Perhaps there's termites or worse that would be just absolutely devastating to a library.
So you head over to the southeastern corner of the room, and something immediately catches your eye as you see a seam in the top shelf and the middle shelf and the bottom shelf. Why would there be seams amongst shelving? That makes no sense.
Although I have read that many people will secrete their most sacred texts and most precious items in perhaps little alcoves or spaces that are hidden from common view. Are there hinges, perhaps?
Upon closer inspection, you do see hinges on the left side of this particular bookshelf.
I believe there would be a trigger of some kind, and I'll start to look for a latch or a mechanism of some kind that might act as a release. And I'll even kind of just pull on their shelves a little bit or push a little bit to see if perhaps they're balanced for easy movement.
Something actually immediately catches your eye. There is a red-covered book, but there is no writing indicating its contents on the spine. And why would an author not put the contents or some vague title in the spine to prelude what literature is contained within? So this immediately catches your eye, and you tug on the red book, and there's a click, and it swings open.
I will gradually slide it open, looking forward to some kind of secret text that others would not have been blessed to have seen. Information should never be hidden.
You come in, and within the secret room located behind are a few bookshelves packed with tomes, the spines of which sound vile just by reading. Tomes that prelude various rituals. One such tome, the spine of which says, "Variances of summoning the damned." Scream blasphemy to you. Against the south wall is a skeleton in leather armor. The skeleton is currently huddled over what appears to be a heavy wooden chest with clawed iron feet. His arms wrapped around it as though trying to hoard the chest to himself. In the left hand, there is a letter.
I look to my right, and I don't see, do I see, is it Karsus's light?
Yes, you do in fact see Karsus's light upon his staff.
Karsus! You...
What?
I have found something. It's rather remarkable.
And he stands up and starts striding over. A hidden door.
And more.
And he will lean over to peer inside.
Is there anything other than the fact that the skeleton is in leather armor? Is it dust covered? How does the space appear?
The space appears to be remarkably well preserved. There is no dust upon the skeleton, though the corpse is desiccated as though it has been there for years, which is rather odd given how well kept the study is.
Can you read?
What? Of course I can read.
Well, don't be so. Not everyone can, you know. The text here are well, if not forbidden, certainly undesirable. And there's a body there. Well, a skeleton, and perhaps the. Do you think that it's possible that the Durst family didn't know of this chamber being in their
Don't
home?
be foolish. They must have been arcanists themselves.
Who would live in a home with a skeleton in the room? That's just ridiculous.
It's a sensible precaution. What, would you rather pay someone to guard you?
They have children, good lord, man.
Karsus sighs, shakes his head, and steps in. And he'll start looking at the books. Sorry.
As you get closer to the skeleton, Karsus, you realize that there are 3 darts protruding from his leather armor and appear to have perforated between portions of his ribs. When you look at the bookshelves, most of the spines, you flip through a couple books, they describe fiend summoning rituals and necromantic rituals of a cult called the Priests of Osibis.
Approximately how many books are there?
At least a couple dozen, maybe closer to 30, 35.
Well, Karsus will poke the skeleton just to make sure it's not, animated or something.
As he pokes the skeleton, it kind of flops over. A couple of its bones crack and break.
I shall be a few moments investigating this room. Let me know if you find the parent.
What was the I'm not going anywhere. Look at those things. And I point to the books of various vile things.
So what is Strix, Baracus, and Zalfar doing?
Can you do me a favor? Can you type the name? You said that they were the name in the text. I want to make sure I get it spelled right. Do I recognize that? The Priests of Osibis, do I know any reference to that?
Doesn't sound familiar to you at all.
I am well versed in many cultures and a variety of just a tremendous number of things. I've never heard of the Priests of Osibis.
We're gonna head into the bottom room.
Holler out if you need us. We found some things that are of interest. Of course, that also means that both of the light sources are here in this room.
Valid point. Oh, Strix, Baracus, and Zalfar, what do you do for a source of light?
I have dark vision.
Same.
I have a candle.
Our dark vision is destroyed by the light of a candle.
Candle's good. Lead the way, little one.
So, Zalfar, you open the door.
Yeah, that's what I typed.
Emoted it.
Got it. This room appears to be the conservatory. Gossamer drapes of crimson, trimmed with gold, cover the windows of this elegantly appointed hall. Brass plates the chandelier hanging from the ceiling. Upholstered chairs of a matching crimson to the curtains line the walls. Stained glass wall hangings depict beautiful men, women, and children singing and playing instruments. A harpsichord with a bench rests in the northwest corner. Near the fireplace is a large standing harp. Alabaster figurines of well-dressed dancers adorn the mantelpiece.
Still no basement.
No, if I had to guess, I would say we go search the kitchen again. Or just rest here. It's out of there.
Am I right to see that staircase as meaning there was a third floor?
There is a third floor.
Yeah. And Baracus will kind of say, or maybe the basement lies on the third floor.
Might as well find out.
I'll strum the harp from end to end as I walk back towards the door.
Look out one of these windows. The children are still standing there in the rain.
Push aside the curtain and peer out in each direction.
Your vision is clogged by mist that appears to have closed in on the house. All you can see are the two ghostly outlines of the children standing in the street.
I see them. They're waiting in the mist.
I think we're headed upstairs, you two, if you'd like to follow. If not, we'll be up there.
But there's so much to learn here.
Then stay there and learn.
I think the father was right. Should just go ask the children. If nothing else, bring them inside.
Where's the fun in that?
Innocent one should be protected.
I could get them. Brackus will start to head back downstairs.
Strix will just wait for him at the top of the stairs.
I will head upstairs.
Okay, and
I think Karsus is
Baracus.
going to follow the halfling.
And then Baracus, you go outside.
I'll come outside and look to where I saw the figures of the children.
The mist is still so thick, it's falling at your vision, leaving the children as nothing more than blurred outlines in the mist.
Rose. Thorn, come this way. Inside.
They stand still in the mist.
Rose. And I'll step towards her.
You step close to her now, and as you step close to her, her figure is still a blurred outline in the mist. Even though you're mere feet away from them, and by all pretenses and purposes, they should have been crisp and clear.
What the hell's? And I'll reach out to grab her by the shoulder.
Your hand goes through her shoulder as the mist dissipates, wrapping around, coiling around your fingers.
Kind of pull back. Sort of look into them harder. Yell out, probably as loud as I can, their names again.
All you hear are the faint sounds of Thorns crying in response. The crying seems to be coming from inside the house.
I'll step back onto the patio. Is the fog still wrapped around my hand, or did it dissipate as I pulled away?
It dissipated as you pulled away.
Okay. I'll say, Thorn, as I step back inside. And I'm gonna close the door as I do. And latch it.
Okay.
Thorn, are you in here?
Just the sound of Thorns crying, although as you walk by the stairs, it appears to be coming from upstairs.
Strix. And I'm heading upstairs.
What?
Did you get him?
Get who?
They're not outside. You didn't hear the crying in here? From up here?
No.
The fog is playing tricks. I'm gonna look at my hand. Even though the fog isn't there anymore. I don't believe Rose and Thorn will be joining us.
You still hear Thornbolt's crying, although it appears to be coming from higher still.
And I'll just look ominously upstairs. And then back. You don't hear that.
Do I hear it?
You do not hear it.
No.
I think they're upstairs.
Strix will slide her javelin back into a hole. How do you carry javelins? In a belt loop? She'll pull out her shield and scourge.
Quiver.
Quiver, yeah.
A quiver? A quiver of javelins?
Sure.
I just kind of nod as if I feel like that's appropriate, and will again unsheath my greatsword and just carry it at my side. Follow.
You guys are met with a sudden clattering crash from above, and
Did you move our halfling?
It wouldn't take much effort.
He went upstairs before the rest of us did.
Boo.
he went
No,
upstairs.
Garces was following him.
Karsus, as you two climb the stairs, you begin noticing changes. A few steps up, you feel a temperature difference of several degrees chill your skin and cause goose flesh to spring up along your arms and the nape of your neck. The railing at the halfway point grows tarnished, pitted, and rusted. The steps covered with a measure of dust. The walls flaking with age. As you get to the top step, you see Zalfar walk towards the suit of armor. The armor springs to life, and a greave flies in a kick towards the halfling's chest.
Well, that's interesting. Are you waiting for me to do something or respond, or is this just something I don't have time to process?
No, I was rolling for the armor. The greave connects rather viciously with the chest of the halfling, and he gets kicked through the railing, which at this point turns to wood and falls some feet away, landing at the stairs below.
Ow. Bad armor. Bad.
The armor, Zalfar, has crushed a few of your ribs, and as you cough, a little bit of blood comes from between your lips. Let's give me initiative, everyone.
Yeah.
If only I could remember how to do that.
You click the word initiative while holding your token. It's at the very top of your sheet, just above your hit points,
Do you want me to roll initiative even though I'm way far away?
What does Brother Bernard do when he hears the crashing sound from above?
Well, let's assume that it was at about the same time that I was sniffing the dart to see if the dart was poisoned.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like he's investigating the room.
Okay. Oh, what did you
And
do with
I'll
the?
react from there.
What did you do with the letter, by the way?
The letter that I have in my pack.
I had messaged you. You found another letter in the hand of the skeleton.
Oh, you did? When did you message me that?
You said it out loud.
I did just now. Baracus.
Oh, there it is. I'm sorry, I missed it in the midst of the I'm colorblind, so sometimes messages don't stand out, and it was mixed in with the emote messages.
I'm gonna follow Strix up the stairs, hopefully at a hurried pace.
All right, I'll go ahead and roll initiative.
Well, Strix is slow, so you're gonna be waiting a while.
So you're gonna hold your initiative for Strix?
I don't have an initiative, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
I'll,
Click on your token, and then there's initiative. It's in the center between armor class and speed. Just click the word initiative.
I don't have a word initiative.
Yeah, you
Are
do.
you on your
Gotta
character
open your
sheet?
character sheet.
Okay, sheet. In the core section.
Oh, now I do it. I was looking on the Roll20 screen.
So yes, I'll hold till 4.
Okay. Zalfar.
I will take a moment to catch my breath and pull out the hand crossbow and try and point and aim and fire.
Oh yes, you fire your hand crossbow and it penetrates the thick plate of the armor.
Wait, now how do I do the damage part of this?
Click the word crossbow in the actual Roll20 chat.
Okay, there we go. That's for kicking me, you ass!
Your bolt hits the armor in the chest and rattles it. It kind of lets out a disembodied groan, a deep, detached thing that sounds not of this world. Slowly, the armor rotates to look at you, Lord Karsus, and it takes a step forward. Its armor thudding rather loudly, reverberatingly on the wooden floor. It raises a gauntleted fist and makes to strike you.
Okie doke.
Yeah. You look at this thing, possibly of arcane origin, and something occurs to you from your past of such things constantly serving as servitors to your kind. It lunges at you, and for a moment you see the animation behind it, and you just slide to the right as its fist passes by you. It pulls back and makes a similar swing with its opposite arm, and you slide to your left and let that fist go by you. And then the sight is gone and you are unable to see the movements, the animation behind the armor. Strix?
We'll head up the stairs.
You head up the stairs and can see the armor doing battle and swinging at Lord Karsus, and Lord Karsus almost casually leaning out of the way of the blows before they make land.
Is there room for me to get around him?
You could possibly squeeze by him. Getting by the armor might be a tougher thing. The armor blocks the entire top of the landing.
I'll instead use a javelin then, and I'll throw it at him. Actually, no. I've got this awesome crossbow! Why waste my own ammo? Six says as she pulls the crossbow off, heavy crossbow off her back.
Strix aims the crossbow and lets loose a bolt, and the bolt rings loudly off of the armor as it ricochets up and to the right, impaling itself onto the wall just behind the armor. Does Strix do anything else?
No, that's it for now.
Baracus.
I'll start to make my way up the stairs as well, now that the way has been cleared.
Okay.
Is the center of the stairwell an open spiral that goes all the way up and all the way down?
You are correct. And the
Okay.
railing here has been broken, as someone had been kicked through it.
Perfect. As I get here and see the congestion, I'm just going to lunge for the opening, using my wings to try to, like, just one quick flap to give myself a bit of a burst and try to leap up to here.
The confines are rather tight, and unfurling your wings, give me an acrobatics.
Okay.
Is that we all get hit in the face with bat wings?
Baracus throws himself upward from the stairs, unfurling his wings, and adds a twist to his movement so that his wings catch the wind without hitting anyone. Going and slipping between his comrades, he makes the landing and lands on the other side of the armor.
And I'll bring down my sword upon the animate suit of armor.
Yes, your mighty greatsword comes down and cleaves into the armor. Starting from the helm, you split the helm in two and still cleave on, going into its chest where your sword stops. Its momentum slowed by the steel. The helm, now split in twain, kind of floats ominously as two separate halves that rotate and pivot at separate angles. Quite odd. Lord Karsus.
Does the statue still appear to be animated?
It does.
Lord Karsus will take a disengage and move back here.
Okay.
Excuse me, to the side.
Friar Bernard, from above, you hear the sounds of combat, momentarily distracting you from your task at hand of examining these poison darts.
I will look over my shoulder at the noise, where it came from, look down at the skeleton and go, well, you don't appear to be going anywhere. Best to figure out what's going on. And I will begin moving out into the library cautiously. Friends, do you need help?
I'm down.
As you get closer towards the second floor's main hall, you can hear sounds of combat from above.
from above. Ugh. I lose track of time frequently when I'm lost in libraries.
Zalfar.
Trying to
You
see what
just
my movement
die
is.
already. And I'll shoot another bolt.
This time, the pain of the wound takes its toll as you move your arm, tweaking the ribs that are broken and causing your vision to blur momentarily. You loose your bolt. It hits the pauldron of the armor and ricochets into the wall just to the east of it, just behind it. The armor slowly turns away from the staircase to look at you, Baracus. A faint din of a grumble reverberates through the armor, rattling it, as it makes to kick you in the abdomen. You grab its gauntleted foot in your arm, and as you have a hold of its foot, it tries to swing at you with its right bracer. But its swing is awkward, and as it tries to twist and have at you, you just simply maintain control of the leg. On Strix's turn, we will call a brief 5-minute intermission as I have a call from work.
Ooh, the
Those
spookiest
dogs.
of calls.
All right,
Help.
nice time for AFK. Be right back.
I'm gonna freshen my coffee.
Alright, stream. We'll be back.
Don't go anywhere.
I know, right? We gotta tune our breaks when we have low viewers. We had 16 people on Storm King Thunder, and that's when we took a break. You need to probably watch that better.
Or just be more interesting on breaks.
I know, that's fair. That's fair. Be more interesting. Yeah, we lost all those people.
Zalfa, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Have you added sneak attack to your rolls?
I did not get a sneak attack that time, I'm assuming.
Oh no, none of your hits would have been sneak attack yet.
Yeah.
But do you know how to add them to your rolls?
Nope.
Actually, I'll do that. I'll be right back. I gotta AFK 1 sec.
I don't know if I'm going to survive this encounter, though. As I'm pretty sure that thing crit me.
Are you bleeding out?
I am at 1 hit point. And the thing didn't just hit me, like, it kicked me Spartan style through a railing, so I'm pretty sure he crit.
All right, I'm back. So I missed that. Did you have that added already, or do you need to know how?
I need to know how, but
Okay.
it might not matter.
You'll be
Oh.
fine.
Oh no, you'll be okay. All right. So because it will matter, that's how much faith I have in you. If you hover over any of your attacks in the upper right-hand corner, that little gear icon pops up. This is actually on your character sheet.
And then
You can click on
damage
that
too?
to open up. Yeah, basically you just want to click the damage to, and then 1d6 type sneak attack, and then for crit, I think you can leave it blank or just put 1d6 as well. And you want the damage thing to be like a dash so that it's not adding your modifier. And then, yeah, that'll add a second number to your rolls. You could choose to, like, specify, like, click that on and off when it's going to be sneak attack. It's probably what you should do for this campaign, because normally I was just like, whenever I rolled it, I always just said whether or not I was getting the bonus. But you may want to actually, like, manually do it. Or you could create a second attack for each of your weapon types, the one that actually has sneak attack, and that way you could just roll the right one whenever
Okay,
whenever
I'm
it applies.
back. Do we have
Won't
everyone
matter
here?
too much at level 1 though, since you can't sneak too easily.
I haven't heard the Friar or the Lord yet.
Got, like, our chess pieces here.
I'm back.
There's the Lord. Just waiting on Brother Bernard.
And just to clarify before we get back into the swing of things, Baracus, on your turn, you will have the option to, as a free action, drop the armor's leg, or I am giving you the opportunity to keep this guy grappled.
Oh, he must have done poorly. I don't know what I can do from a grapple, but that sounds like fun. I will try to look that up quickly.
Also, does casting a spell provoke in this edition?
It does not. However, if you're making a ranged attack with a
Disadvantage, yeah.
spell, it's disadvantage.
Still needed to get out of there to do my thing.
Yeah, you did. And when Zalfar said he's down, did he mean for the brother to come up, or that he is physically on the ground bleeding out?
Not that he's physically on the ground bleeding out, he just seems to have suffered a pretty bad wound.
Alright, but he's still on his feet.
Oh, he did have several broken ribs, it sounds like. He's pretty hurt, I think.
I've got blood coming out of my mouth if you care to look at me, and I am wheezing, and it's not good.
Alright, no, that's good. That's good. That's right where we want you.
Dead?
Easy to
Jesus!
rob.
You've picked the lock. You've served your use.
Next character.
I'm throwing myself down the staircase.
Oh no. Brother Bernard, you with us?
I am.
Alright.
Huzzah.
We are all here for you, Lord GM.
Okay. Strix, you see Baracus grab a hold of the armor's leg as it tries to make for a kick to his sternum. And he currently has a firm hand, on the calf of the armor's leg. What do you do?
I smile down. Wait, is our halfling actually on the floor, or is he on the stairs right next to me?
He's on the stairs right next to you.
Alright. I smile down at our halfling and say, "Your pain serves Lavatar so well. Stand back up and take it again." And I will cast Lay of Hands on him. Heal him for 5 hit points.
Oh god.
And then I will move into melee range with this big guy. And that is my turn.
Baracus.
Okay, I didn't quite figure out what my options are from grapple. I see what the grapple condition does, but I'm not sure if the grappler has any actions.
I believe you can move the grappled.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. I don't know at what speed I can move him, but I'd like to try and move him in this direction. Not gonna necessarily stop until he hits the wall, if I can.
Wait.
It also says that you have advantage on attack rolls against a creature you are grappling.
It does indeed.
Oh, okay. So
So you
can
can still
actually-
punch him in the face, apparently. I don't know if that breaks your grapple, but
Traditionally,
I'm gonna
Sorry.
say for sensical matters here, because you are utilizing a two-handed weapon and one hand is currently firmly planted onto this entity's leg, that you cannot properly wield your
Oh, totally.
greatsword.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even thought it. No, yeah. Let's see if I can't just assert some sort of control over him. Um, maybe that broken railing actually.
Just kind of toss him off of the railing.
Yeah, see if I can't get a hand behind his two-pieced head and just shove him past me over the railing.
Give me a strength check.
All right.
Also, Baracus, from your position, you do hear the sounds of a weeping woman echoing through that door. Okay.
Let out kind of a yell as I try to assert some strength.
You shove the armor down through the gaping opening of the hole, and the armor stumbles down past the railing, past Zalfar, past the second floor even, and you hear a resounding crash from the first floor as it falls all the way down back to the main landing.
So I see a suit of armor fall down from upstairs.
You sure do.
Didn't there.
Let's kind of give like a couple of like big, heaves of breath as I just like hear it crash to the ground. I'll peer down to see if it's standing back up.
It does appear to be regaining its feet.
It's
Actually,
not done yet.
Better description. Your toss and it hitting the floor had scattered the bits of armor across the floor of the landing, but you see its pieces slowly begin coming together as it reanimates itself into a standing position. The armor is no longer a whole suit of armor, but a hodgepodge of meshed together pieces of armor that appear to function as one whole.
So, should we try and figure out how to turn that off before we keep going?
Lord Karsus.
Lord Karsus will peer suspiciously over the railing, swat his hand at the creature, intone a word of power, and this time something happened. He summons a ghostly hand, and it flies out to the creature and tries to touch it.
Your hand does in fact impact the armor, dead center mass of its current jumbled form.
I don't think... Oh wait, damage was on the front page. Yes, it was. No, that did not roll the damage for me.
Oh, you just have to click Chill Touch. The letter Chill Touch that's in Roll 20. Or
In the text box.
In the text box.
I'll whisper it to you, and we'll figure that out later.
As in, like, in the chat box itself, you actually click the words chill touch.
Okay. So your hand impacts the armor, and whatever little animating magic was left is undone as it falls back into pieces and is no more. We are now out of combat.
I'll spit down the stairwell in the direction of the armor.
I'll go look down over the railing towards where the armor went, and then look back up.
You see what appears to be the figure of a heaving Baracus looking angrily down at the armor.
We hate suits of armor now.
It kicked me
wouldn't-
through a railing.
When
Lord
nearly killed
Karsus will
Zalfar.
he'll come up the stairs and attempt to pat Baracus on the shoulder. Does he let him?
I mean, that's the strangest thing, but probably.
Ah, excellent work for a familiar. Once we find your master, I'll be sure to put in a good word for you.
Styx
Shake my.
will quirk an eyebrow and ask Bacchus and Infernal, do you have a master?
And in Infernal, I'll reply, I'm owned by no one. I've told him this several times.
And in Infernal, Karsus will say, "What? Of course you have a familiar."
I'm glad everybody in the party speaks the devil's tongue.
Yeah, that's great. That's
It's
great.
slightly disturbing that I hear a bunch of people upstairs rambling in Infernal after
Probably
casting a
sounds.
suit of armor down a.
That's fair.
And I'm in a room. I just got finished reading a bunch of evil documents in a room, and I'm hearing mutterings of Infernal upstairs.
And then in common, I'll look down. Brother Bernard, join us. A woman's crying here, and I'm gonna start walking to the south. I don't know if any.
Looking back at my books where I know my comfort zone is, and crying women, which is not my comfort zone.
And do we all hear the crying now, or is it still just crazy me?
Yes, you all hear the crying now.
Would
Also,
move me to
with
third floor.
with the lull of combat, you'll notice that this level is not immaculately kept. That dust covers everything here. That the railings, gone from brass to wood here, are pitted and rotten. The brass railings, as Brother Bernard climbs them, are rusted and no longer fine looking. The door to the handle as you approach appears to also be dented and broken by some measure, the door of which is rotted and cracked up from the base to the top. Cobwebs hang in every corner here, and oil lamps, still unlit, are mounted to the oak-paneled walls. Here, the oak-paneled walls are carved with woodland scenes of trees, falling leaves, and tiny critters.
I'll put my hand on the doorknob that I believe the sound is coming from. I wasn't sure if it was west or south.
The doorknob, as you touch it, is ice cold.
Kind of pull my hand back and shake it a little bit. Look at everybody with kind of a perplexed look on my face.
It is now that you look at everybody and everyone begins realizing each other that clouds of breath are billowing from between each other's lips, forming little motes in the air about everybody.
Did anybody happen to bring any holy water with them? I think I could use a bit right now.
Styx will reach into her bag and hand you a bottle.
And Karsus immediately taps it with his staff, mutters a few words, and then the entire vial disappears, turns into glowing energy, and he takes this energy and he pokes Baracus with it.
I just look at you perplexed.
I'm sure we can explain it later.
Do I hold it?
No.
I better make use of that. It was my only one.
Is Scarcer trying to get me to do something with it, or did he just poke me with it?
He just
poked
poked you
you.
with it.
And it disappeared.
Oh, okay. Then it disappeared. Gotcha.
He now appears to be focusing on something.
Okay. Yeah, I'll turn back towards the door, put my hand on the cold railing, and push the door open.
So, are you saying that the suit of armor became animate and attacked you? Most amazing.
You push the door open. You catch a glimpse of dust, cobwebs shrouding an elegantly appointed bedroom. And then, all of a sudden, a spirit appears. An apparition of a ghostly matron. Tears streaking her face skeletal, gaunt, ghastly, her hair flowing about as though she were submerged in water, her nightgown torn, tattered, multiple punctures around her abdomen and chest float like a sail in the wind. She lets out an unearthly screech as she flies through you.
I'll like try to grab her as she does.
She flies through you, and as she flies through you, she's buffeted by this holy entity, this protection from vileness that was cast about your person. Her visage blurs and she lets out a scream of an earthly pain, but she manages to land past you. And as she goes through you, she takes from you a large portion of your life force as your muscles slack and deflate. Your face grows gaunt as your body consumes itself, and your hair gains a streak of silver as she flies through about the room and stops behind.
And my attempt for a grab turns into a bit of a shriek, and I probably collapse to a knee.
And on that note, give me initiative, everyone.
What the?
As you try to stave off the effects of the draining of your life, a feeling in your gut tells you that this might be more long-term than it feels.
To be clear, did she fly through all of us?
She did fly through all of you, but she only appears to have taken a chunk of Baracus's life force.
Get the hints.
And in a disembodied voice, she says, "He took everything from me. Everything."
Can I recall the names of the parents of the Durst family from the painting?
Roll intelligence for me. You recall one of the names. But more importantly, you recall the image of the woman, and the image of the woman does not look at all like the ghastly figure or apparition before you. And the ghastly woman looks about, and as her head turns, her hair flows around her, whipping in front of her face, and her eyes lock upon you, Brother Bernard. And she lets out another screech, and she goes, "There was no God to save me!" And she flies through Strix into you, Brother Bernard.
Denier welcomes all.
And as she tries to drain your essence, your symbol glows upon your shield in brilliance, and she's letting out a screech of pain as she recoils from it, and instead goes around you and through the walls. Brother Bernard.
I think, at the speed of thought, I owe that heraldry department quite a bit more gold. And I look about to see. You said that she passed through the wall and is gone?
Correct.
I will turn to face the direction that she passed through so that my shield continues to be a barrier between she and I should she decide to pop back into vision, and I will hold in action until then.
As you turn to face the direction she's in, also at the speed of thought and eyesight, you see seams forming what appear to be the outline of a door with hinges on the left-hand side, right before you. Lord Karsus.
Lord Karsus will take a step here and ready in action to cast a spell as soon as he sees that ghost.
Baracus. As the crying seeps into you, you recall a time as a child you sought the warmth and comfort of your mother, but your mother wasn't there. She lay dead, stabbed to death by several bandits in an alleyway. The last thing you remember is her face contorted with pain and sorrow at having to leave her only child alone in the world. And then you realize that that's not your memory.
I'll shout. She's in here, and kind of like clutching my chest a bit. I'll kind of stumble forward. And oh boy, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and rage as I try to raise my sword and bring it down on her.
You bring your sword down upon her, and it, on a normal person, would have been a beautiful blow that would have cleaved them in two. But on her, it passes through her ghostly form, and the after image of a wound, only partially there, forms on her near see-through form. She lets out a shriek of pain and anguish as she looks down at you with hatred and anger. Strix.
Alright, I'm gonna take out my shield and my scourge and shoulder my way past our Lord Garthus. Can I get past my the big man here?
You can.
How big Baracus is. This hallway looks tiny.
He's
So-
as large as he is old.
I'll move just to the other side of her so I can get an attack. And I will yell at her in Celestial, the dead stay dead. And I will attack her. And I will admit, haven't done this in a while. Better off.
As you lash out with your scourge, The tendrils of your whip pass through her harmlessly. She kind of fades back into semi-solidness as she looks indignant at you. Zalfar.
I will move and draw my rapier. I will not be pushed around! And I will try and stab.
In her semi-solid form, your rapier finds her heart, or where her heart would have been, were she still alive. And as you pull back, ghostly drips of ectoplasmic blood dribble onto the floor. He said that he loved me. He lied. And she flies through you, Zalfar.
Can I take a swing at her as she does?
Sure can. This time, as you swing, the transition from semi-solid to transparent becomes more so as she makes to go through Zalfar. And your swing misses. As she passes through Zalfar, you hear the sound of a deep breath. And the deep breath causes Zalfar to grow gaunt. His hair turns a shock of white in its entirety. The light flickers from his eyes as though he was on the cusp of death itself, and he falls limply to the floor. Friar Bernard.
Since the door frame caught my eye, I will immediately try to see if there's, like, I'll start pushing at it. So I've still got my shield out in front of me on my left arm. With my right arm, I'll reach out and see if this, and I'll say, there's a door here, and I'll start trying to see if I can figure out a way to open it.
You just kind of push on the door, and pushing on the door is enough to get it to budge just enough.
And I'll step through it.
As you step through it, you see that a mirror on another secret door just in front of you has been opened inward and reveals stairs going up to what you can only assume to be the attic. From here you can clearly see the specter as she places both hands to her face and weeps sorrowfully. You see Zalfar, unconscious on the floor, a ghastly gaunt husk of what he once was, but still breathing, though barely. And Baracus, apparently drained of the vitality that gave him strength. He is raging, anger pouring from him like a fountain.
Am I able to speak something?
Sure.
We are here to help you seek peace and rest.
The woman appears lost in her sorrow, and her words fail to stir her from it. Karsus.
Well, do I know anything about ghosts?
Give me a knowledge religion. You know that ghosts are usually from detached spirits, or not detached spirits, but the after image of a soul that has failed to pass on properly, so to speak. This does not seem to be a ghost, but more malevolent than a ghost. This appears to be a specter, a fraction, a mere portion of a malevolent spirit that has been born from extreme violence.
All right, well, Karsus will step forward and wave his hand and send a ghostly skeletal hand at her. Fire with fire.
Okay. Your hand finds its way onto the top of her head and begins pressing into her. And you witness your hand simply sink into her flesh and become one with the specter, seemingly having no effect.
Lord Karsus narrows his eyes at the specter.
Baracus.
Am I able to occupy the space of a downed teammate?
You sure are.
Then I will step over Zalfar and just continue my assault, albeit stunted.
You swing your sword, and this time catch her unawares as she is so involved in her internal struggle of sorrow and hate, slashing through her forearm and her left bicep. She stirs from her self-loathing, if only to give you a hateful stare. Little wisps of ectoplasm begin leaking from her as her once crisp, weeping, spectral ghost blurs in its image, becoming distorted and imbalanced. Strix.
Your tears mean nothing now, nor did they before. Fight me, you evil spawn. Your suffering tears are a waste of time. And I will just use it to insult her, and I'm trying to intimidate her to pay attention to me.
Her focus locks in its entirety upon you as tears pour down her face. She looks at you, Strix, and she goes, "You know nothing of the pain of losing a child."
Six will just start laughing maniacally.
Zalfar. Give me a save.
I don't know what I need to roll, so I'm assuming it's a failure.
You need to roll a 10 or higher.
Okay.
Meanwhile, beneath your feet, Baracus, you hear Zalfar, his breathing grow rattled, coarse, as his body begins entering shock. it begins shaking with tremors, his body not being able to handle the sudden loss of vitality that it did. The specter flies through you, Strix, and with it, you feel an attempt to pull the very essence that makes your being away from you.
I'm gonna swipe again as it escapes.
Okay. You hack off a good portion of its lower left leg from it, and it flies into the air, momentarily stable. You see ectoplasm leaking from the severed appendage before it just dissolves into mist into the room. Strix, you feel your life being pulled from your very body, your hair turning streaks of white to mix with the brown and the black and the various colors. Your cheekbones grow gaunt, sharp, and ragged as your flesh grows pale. You manage to hold on to the strands that make your vitality yours. Thank you. And as you hold on, you feel the familiar tug of necromantic powers at work. And you do battle with this spirit as she tries to pull your life essence from you, and some color returns to your hair, some color returns to your cheeks, and they become full once more as you turn back around to face her, and she looks frustrated at you as she spits out, "You think you're better? You're no better than he was." Friar Bernard.
I will, let's see. I think I can, yeah. So I will cast Bless on my 3 teammates that are in the room and being victimized by the malevolent spirit. So that will add a d4 to the number rolled for attack rolls or saving throws.
And you can see underneath me, right? I gotta move off to the side to make sure that you see that one of our teammates is dying.
Well, first things first, gotta save the living. But that would include, so who all do I see in there? I see Zalfar, right?
You see Zalfar currently going through the
Arrakis and
throes of
Strix.
death. Yep.
Okay, so all 3 of them would be included in that. So it would include Zalfar if he's got any kind of additional saving throws, and then I can work on the dying after that.
Okay. Lord Cassus.
He will stride forward, sneer at the specter, and lean down to open the halfling's collar, adjust his position, and otherwise, try and stop him from dying. Probably fans him with some air. And that'll be his turn.
You adjust his collar. Raise his head up a little bit, try and get him into a more comfortable position. And his breathing does become more even, more fair, and he doesn't appear to be going through the throes of shock any longer. And Zelfar, you are stable. Baracus. You see that this malevolent spirit has its hateful eyes solely locked on Strix.
Okay. Yeah, I'll step over Zalfar again and try and bring my my weapon down.
You
From the
bring your
close.
weapon down, and as you bring your weapon down, surely you see it wavering as the creature becomes transparent. But a holy aura ignites over your sword as blessings of some holy entity shroud it, allowing you to better cleave into this denizen. And as you cleave into this denizen, she lets out an unholy screech, that of which she has not let out before. The radiance contained within your blade, given to you by the friar, grows bright with light as it shatters the spectral entity before you into sparks of light, motes of hope, and she dissipates. The crying in the room seems to stop, fade.
I'm gonna drop to a knee, probably with the weight of the swing, and drop my sword. Just gonna grab my chest.
However, Baracus, you still hear the soft crying of a boy coming from upstairs. It sounds closer now than it did when you were on the bottom levels. And that's all for combat.
I'll enter the room now and check who obviously needs healing most. Is it Zalfar?
He's unconscious.
I'll step forward and place a hand on him, on his forehead. Lay my shield over the top of him, and Denier restores the souls of the faithful, and I'll cast Cure Wounds. That's 4 additional health that he can recover.
We engage a ghost in combat and you go looking for secret doors.
Well,
Might I make a prudent suggestion? Perhaps before we traipse on and stumble across some other, who knows what, we could take a moment to rest.
They're Thorn upstairs. He's crying.
I have begun to suspect that is not really a concern of ours.
Knows how far, I don't think it does. But at least you've made it out in one piece so far.
There's pieces over there. Some pieces over there.
So you're able to get a more focused look at the bedroom. And in the bedroom, is a large bed with 2 end tables, an empty wardrobe, all of which appears to be rotted and pitted. The pillows appear to be moth-eaten, as well as the blankets. The end tables are worn, weary, and in disrepair. Mounted on the wall, next to the wardrobe, you guys can see what appears to be a mirror, though the mirror had been folded back, open, revealing the stairs going up. The wardrobe is broken, with a couple of its doors hanging off its hinges.
Karsus would like to open the door. He'll do it nice and slow just in case anything's on the other side.
Karsus slowly opens the door to reveal a crib covered with a hanging black shroud, holes eaten through it by moths.
I think that healing was supposed to have some additional. My wisdom bonus is 3, so I think it should have added 3 more to that.
Karsus will shrug and go open another door.
Be my guest.
This one leads to a porch, patio of some kind, a balcony overlooking what appears to be a street in the front of the house.
How's the mist looking?
Thick. The mist encompasses everything and actually is swathing over like pouring liquid over the patio.
Karsus will close the door before it gets too cold in here. Any colder than it already was.
That thing flew through me. I could barely catch my breath.
Well, you're alive, aren't you?
The Baracus that you saw before we entered this room, I do not think looks like the one you're looking at now. Pale skin, there's a streak of white through my hair. Got sunken eyes. And I'll just sort of stare back at you. I feel weak.
I'll look you over. I don't think there's anything that can be done for you immediately. It appears that it took some of your life force, perhaps? But that may come back. Perhaps some sleep. Sleep will do you good. And maybe some chicken soup.
Does your god have any healing words for him? Or do you not heal fiends?
I have no objection. When I look him over, does he appear to be overly wounded? Other than the lack of energy.
I'll let the GM answer that.
I'm sorry. Friar Bernard, could you repeat yourself?
Yeah, so when I look over Baracus, are there any obvious wounds that I can see, or does he just appear to be, well, I don't know if he appear to be lacking in energy?
Give me medicine.
I have that.
Yes, Karsus and Brother Bernard, you both recognize the symptoms that Baracus is displaying as the telltale signs of someone who's succumbed to the touch of the damned. His soul, his life force has been drained from his body, and the only thing that'll bring relief to this symptom is some well-needed long-term rest.
So, I. Well, yes.
It happens that I concur. Some rest will do you good.
Healing is certainly an option, but in this particular case, given the symptoms and given the presentation of well, an understanding of the vileness and the rest is the best thing. It's as if an oil lamp were to be drained of its oil, and the flame would obviously dampen, but once the oil is refreshed, the flame will grow to fullness once again and provide.
You
its
can
bright light.
say curse. We're not stupid.
I don't
We
believe
all,
said
the
that.
rest of us, fought a spirit.
Well, absolutely. It was definitely a spirit. I concur. However, there's a stairwell going up right through here.
Lead the way, Friar.
And I will pass back through the portal that was opened from the mirror and guide everyone to the stairs that I discovered
Wait
on my
here.
own
Wait.
while you were busy fighting.
Wait. Step out of there.
I will pass on through to the other side.
I'll try to stand up using my sword to lift myself off the ground.
I found no traps. There were nothing to be concerned of on the stairs, though.
I will just go to the base of the stairs and mutter a small prayer to my god and check with my divine sense the location of anything around.
Perhaps if we can find the young lady's body, we can put it to rest, and her soul can find peace.
The sound of nails and a chalkboard resound in your ears, Strix.
There's another one up the stairs, I suspect.
Another ghost, you mean?
Perhaps if you wish to go up the stairs, we should make sure our party is ready for it. All of them. Despite what your sensibilities might be.
Oh, absolutely. I think that having everyone is best. Friends are valuable.
Lord Karsus will open this door and see what's inside.
Lord Karsus opens the door. It creaks on its hinges as it swings open to reveal darkness, damnable things, evil things, cleaning supplies, and a broom in the corner.
Karsus shudders at the thought of, doing his own cleaning.
It's the truly terrifying room for you.
I'm gonna open these doors to my north.
There is a child crying, people.
Yes, yes. And no, I don't think they're dead. Go find it. It sounds like an awful racket. She'll just look at the brother and get out of his way.
Zalfar, that room appears to be the main bedchamber of probably the owners of the house, the mother and father. This master suite has dusts covering everything in a thick layer. Cobwebs hang from every corner. Burgundy drapes cover the windows, moth-eaten with holes, revealing brief glimpses of the mist hanging thick outside. A matching pair of empty wardrobes hang open, their doors gaping, hanging at the hinges like a man with a broken jaw. A rotting tiger skin rug lies on the floor. It too appears to have suffered from time, with many holes in its fur coat, matted with the thick layer of dust that is everywhere. A dust-covered portrait of Gustav and Elizabeth Durst hang above the fireplace, the stone hearth. Labeled, they cradle each other lovingly in their arms. On the wooden dresser to your left, you spot what appears to be a jewelry box made out of silver with gold filigree.
There is no jewelry box.
I suppose Karsus will open the last door.
Strix, as you walk by the closet, something very interesting happens. There's a rattling noise to your left. You turn and catch the brief glimpse of a broom animating, its handle flying right for your face.
I'll raise my shield to block it.
You raise your shield to block it and deftly block the handle as it comes. A resounding din reverberates throughout the entirety of the third floor, everybody hearing the sound of attack. The Strahd end of the broom comes to swing at your face. Block the attack with the edge of your shield, catching it. Those who would participate, please roll initiative.
Is it bad I'm afraid to participate in the combat with a broom?
You should be.
I anticipate a sweeping victory.
This is the thing that kills us all.
Is a broom.
Broom TPK.
Baracus.
I am going to hold this turn and just step closer, maybe out into the hallway here. to
Why are you
see-
standing there? You think this is funny?
Like I like kind of like stumble into the doorway, and like I'm like holding myself up by the railing of the secret passage.
Friar
Um,
Bernard.
Yeah, that's all I got.
I will step through the doorway so I can. I don't know if I'm on the right map. I'm still at. There you go.
You step on the landing and you see another pair of stairs heading upward. At this point, you hear the soft crying of a young boy reverberating past this door. You open the door.
I can't move through it. What do
The
I see?
sounds are now precisely coming from this room.
That's where I'll head, and then that's about where I run out of space.
Boop.
Or movement.
Okay. The broom of doom. The broom's handle makes spear-like lunges once again at your face, Strix. With one swift blow that you did not think would have a speed that the broom possessed, the handle flies across the side of your face, striking at your temple, and you fall, crumpling to the floor. The broom makes a sweeping motion over Strix's body, as though trying to sweep away the now limp form of the woman beneath it. Strix, give me a save.
Oh, just death save? Oh,
Yep.
man, it's already my turn. I didn't know I went right after the broom. It's so epic. Oh.
And blood begins pooling beneath your the flesh of your head as your broken temple begins showing some signs of bruising. Hemorrhaging to ensue. Zalfar.
Damn this cookie house! I'll run forward with my rapier and not stab Baracus.
You lunge, and surprisingly accurate with your rapier, the tip of which manages to hit the broom at its thin handle. You splint the wood a little bit. The top 3 inches may be splitting in half. You see
Oh god,
I'm
robots!
sorry.
Anybody hear me without being a robot?
Hey, we're back.
Can't now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Pretty sure it was on my end. The robots everywhere.
Okay, I think it's working now.
Okay, Karsus, you peer from around the corner and see that a broom, the broom that you saw in the corner of that closet, has felled your comrade in arms.
Karsus will poke his head around that corner, wave his hand, and throw out one of those little skeletal hands. Oh, how does that work in this game?
I don't know. Can you still crit with the spell?
I don't think so.
There's crit cards for spells. So.
Yeah, there's crit cards for spells, but I don't know if there's any extra damage for spells. That's a good question.
I'm gonna say yes off the cuff.
Okie doke. Oh, it automatically did it.
Oh,
The first
nice. You launch your ghostly necrotic hand, and it touches upon the animation magic of this broom, a familiar thing to you. It drains the animation magic of the broom, and the broom reverberates once, vibrating, standing stock still, and then falls limply on top of Strix.
Well then.
Baracus.
The broom fell completely limp.
That is correct.
I'm going to reach across Strix and slam the door to the closet closed.
Okay, you close the door to the closet. You notice that blood is still pooling, now leaking from Strix's temple onto the floor.
Yeah. I could try to stabilize her.
Give me a medicine roll.
What's a few broken ribs, right?
And not knowing exactly what to do, but rather MacGyvering the pressure to the side of her neck to slow the flow of blood to her skull to prevent a hemorrhage, you stabilize her.
I'll just hold her there while asking if Brother Bernard would be joining us.
Which is probably about the time that I turn around behind me and go, the crying. Where? Damn it, where did everyone go? And I'll head back downstairs and like, they told me to go up the stairs.
So you head back downstairs only to find the woman Strix lying face down.
What happened? She told me to go up the stairs.
She told you to wait for your team. She's now unconscious. I think I've stabilized the wound, but can you take a look?
I will perform a medicine check. I thought you were right behind me.
Brother, you examine the wound and do in fact find that she is in a stable condition.
Well, she's not getting any worse. Let's see what I can do. In here. We need this one. You cannot have her yet. And it's still, I can't tell if if I don't have something set right. It doesn't appear to be adding my wisdom bonus. I don't know if it should. I thought it should.
What's the name of the spell?
Cure wounds.
Hmm.
The description says 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier.
In the gear tab next to the spells.
Yeah.
You may need to do spellcasting ability. It's in custom. That's in the custom class options. That shouldn't do it.
We'll just pop that open with the little gear button there.
Yeah, I've
and
got
see
the
if
gear
it's
button.
adding your wisdom.
Spellcasting ability is set to none. So I want to change that to wisdom, right?
Try that and see if that helps.
Alright, this next roll is going to be a test.
Or on your spell tab, you might not have said it either. You will have spellcasting ability, and you click where it says perhaps none or charisma or wisdom, and select the appropriate one. It's on the spells tab.
I did have it set. And
Try
it's still
changing
not
it and then
adding
set it back.
Nope, still not doing it.
Add it manually.
Well, either way, so the first roll was a 6 and should have 3 more added to it, so you should get healed for 9.
Thank you.
Strix, you feel the disgusting feeling of worms wriggling about your flesh, mending your wounds, closing them. It causes a slight revulsion in your stomach as you awaken.
I think that would have felt normal. This feels more like the awful light of some god of graciousness or something.
Aren't you a thankful sword?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Glad you could rejoin us.
You've just rejoined us.
Welcome back from Death's Door.
Death is a blasphemous cause. I do prefer life, thank you.
Now, are the rest of you done looking around?
If are we prepared to face whatever may be on the top?
I've confirmed that the crying boy is definitely upstairs behind a door. I didn't venture forth without the rest of the team.
It's another broom.
Nah. Something I sensed was far more foul than a broom.
I certainly don't think we can just sit here and wait. Let's go.
I can show the way.
Those 3 people are already upstairs.
I was waiting for the brother to be in front of me.
Okay.
I'll walk over to the door and step just past it. It's definitely coming from here. Whichever. The sound is definitely coming from here.
So I don't have the best of luck with these things. This house seems to have it out for me. Somebody else wants to open it.
Zalfar, roll intelligence. Or perception, whichever is better for you. You look at the doorknob, you look at the locking mechanism, and it seems like the key that you found might fit the hole.
So I step forward, and I insert the key into the lock, and I turn it, and
As
then
you-
I run.
As you insert the key into the lock, you can feel the chill run up the metal of the key and into your fingertips. As you turn the lock, it resounds with a click.
Alright, I've done the hard part. Somebody turn the handle.
As the door is unlocked, a chill runs through the room. Once again, you're all able to see Your breaths escape as clouds.
I pat behind me the wall to make sure it's solid and I won't get kicked through this.
Sorry, I didn't mean to click on that. Oh, never mind. That just went to the GM anyway.
So, who opens the door?
I will.
This room contains a bricked up window flanked by two dusty wood framed beds sized for children. Closer to the door is a toy chest with windmills painted on its sides. Opposite it is a dollhouse that's a perfect replica of the dreary edifice in which you stand. These furnishings are draped in cobwebs. Lying in the middle of the floor are two small skeletons wearing tattered but familiar clothing. The skeletons are wrapped in each other's arms, as though comforting each other. Cradling. The smaller of the two, in one arm, cradles a stuffed doll that you recognize as a doll that was carried by Thorn outside.
Just gonna look around the room.
And the crying?
Intensifies as the door is opened. Strix, as you peer about the room, nothing particularly stands out to you. Although the screeching nails on a chalkboard sound in your ears intensifies greatly.
I don't know why that spell's not actually casting and it's posting
Oh.
description instead.
What is the blasted thing?
What is it?
Something is messing with my senses. It's awful.
I don't suppose that if we were to take these skeletons outside and bury them, we wouldn't have to deal with whatever they may have left behind.
I don't think outside is going to be any friendlier.
Nothing else, you might find a place for them.
Baracus, there's something inviting about the room.
Follow the instinct.
Something about the toy chest in the corner. You almost want to play with toys.
Play with toys?
Yes, you have the feeling that you want to open the chest and pull out a toy.
I'll examine the chest and see if it is openable.
It appears to be a chest without a lock, a toy chest with windmills painted on the sides.
I'll kneel down and put a hand on each side and lift.
As you put a hand on each side, a boy materializes to your right. I don't like it when people touch my toys.
I'll move
Next-
my hands.
Next to him, a girl materializes, taller than her brother. You recognize the two as Rose and Thorn from outside, although they're transparent, ghostly.
Is the screeching getting louder as they show themselves?
Yes. Incessantly so. So annoying.
There's
Thorn
your
is
good
just-
ones. Righteous little spirits of yours.
I'll turn to Thorn as I move my hands off the chest, but like I'm kind of keeping them up in the air. I'll say, "Is this you? Are you doing this? Who is that woman?"
The woman? What, what do you mean? What woman are you talking of? Says Rose in an accusational tone.
There was a specter downstairs.
A spectre?
Crying woman.
And if you hit me with a broom, I'm going to cut your form in half.
Oh, you must be referring to the midwife that Father hired.
What's going on here? What's really going on?
Uh, Mom and Dad, they locked us here in the attic to protect us from the monster in the basement. They forgot. They left us up here. We starved. She looks down at the skeletons on the floor. In our final moments, we clung to each other.
What basement?
Rose waves her hand at the house, and the house opens, unfolding. She points to the attic. The staircase is here. And judging by where she's pointing, it looks to be a storage room in the attic, just across the way. Contains something. Here, you'll find a door that leads down.
Seems rather inconvenient to have your basement door in the attic.
I was attacked by a broom earlier. I don't think this is a place of sense.
Fair. Fair
Don't
point.
forget that armor that came to life.
Alright, child. We'll put you at peace.
Is there really only toys in your chest?
Yes, only toys. I haven't gotten to play with them so long.
I'll kind of give him a once over, and then look back at the chest before standing up. Kind of using the chest to lift myself. Let's deal with this then.
You're gonna leave?
Only to find out what's in your basement. Then we'll be back here. You've the driest place in town.
Rose kind of looks at you, Strix, and she goes, "We've been ever so lonely. Please, don't leave us alone." And she take your hand.
Strix will pull back from her when she tries. I'm no friend to the dead.
At this point, she makes a quick reach. She grabs a hold of your hand and almost tries to sink into your flesh.
Okay.
At the same time, Thorn looks up at you, Baracus, and goes, "Please, don't leave." And he reaches up and tries to grab a hold of your hand, as a child reaches for the comfort of his father. Strix, you mutter a quick, heated prayer to your goddess of pain and slap at the hand reaching for you. And as you slap, Rose flinches back and recoils, and she kind of grabs a hold of her hand and looks at you mournfully. Meanwhile, the small boy, Thorn, sinks into Baracus, merging with Baracus. Baracus's voice becomes some sort of amalgamation, a combination of Thorn's and his own, a child's and a man's. Brother? You're going to leave me too?
Brackus just looks around confused. Thorn, what are you doing?
Through Baracus's lips. Please, take me with you.
Carissa steps back out of the room.
Strix will just be into Stride out of the room. It's like, no good deed goes unpunished, as they say. Can you help with that, brother?
Oh, sure. Let's go. Unholy place.
Zalfar, you enter?
Yeah. And children, now is not the time. We have this monster, and I need Baracus. Thorn, you are going to have to leave him immediately. I will say so in the most parental manner that I can muster, and try and get him to leave Baracus of his own free will.
If Zalfor passes within a touch, within reach of my hand, I'm gonna cast a quick thing on him.
No! It's safe in here. He's strong. He can't protect me. Rose kind of looks at Zalfar for a moment, quirks an eyebrow up, and goes, "Well, you're not my first choice, but you'll do."
If you touch him, I shall kill you. Your torment should keep you alive. At least in this form as it is. Get your little brother out of him.
Thorn means no harm. He simply just requires a guiding hand. As do I. And her visage kind of blurs momentarily as she kind of leans into Zalfar.
Strix will hit her, or will try to.
We can't banish the monsters if we're busy battling amongst ourselves, children.
We can't be abandoned again. We won't have it. I won't have it.
We invite you to be amongst us. We are not abandoning you. We are here to protect you and to guide you to your to your permanent place. To your new home, a home of rest and peace.
Roll persuasion.
I convinced the chair it's a chair.
We cannot find rest, nor can we find peace alone here in the attic. We've been so lonely here.
Then join us. Leave the attic. Follow us to the basement and help us find this monster. Together we can do what neither of us can do alone. Or apart.
She's speaking to you calmly, even as the whip flies from Strix's lashing arm and goes through Rose, dissipating a little wisp of her essence into the air.
Well, that was unfortunate.
Baracus will kind of like recoil back at the display, sort of push himself up against the wall to try to get away from it.
I don't mean to hurt you, Rose says as she turns her attention slowly back to you, Strix.
I will. Strix will try to. Will get up a really threatening posture and like, what is your intention then? I will not have you possessing all of my friends. Wait, you're not my friends. I've just met these people. I feel like we're bonding. The broom thing made it to the gate. It's got us some bonding.
Aw, I feel your conviction wavering.
It really cleaned up your act.
I was a celestial at one time. If you haven't noticed from my eyes, it's not natural to be evil. It just happens.
I'm still me. I don't know what's going on.
Rose kind of flinches back at your verbal lashing and she takes a spectral step back. We don't mean you harm. We just want company.
You ask nicely before you possess someone. What is wrong with you?
How long have you and your brother waited here for vessels and friends to come along?
It has been a long time. She looks down at her bones. Too long. Much too long. She looks back up at you, Strix. Until you find a resting place for me and my brother. Can I join you? And she steps back up to you, Strix. And she holds out a hand.
Damn it. Strix will hold out a hand to her.
She touches your hand, and as you willingly accept Rose into you, you feel your personalities merge. Your voice becomes Rose's. Rose's voice becomes yours, and they overlap into one and the same.
Are you still you?
You never really knew me before, so how would you know the difference?
Sounds like you.
I think it's her.
It definitely sounds like she who we barely know. So, you both, are you both okay?
You both feel like you, just with like some added extra spice thrown in. Baracus, you feel the presence and slight urgencies of Thorn. As such, you also feel the slight urge to pick up the bear on the floor.
It's funny you say that because that's exactly what I was just about to do. And I'll give a nod to Brother Bernard as I strap the bear into my pouch.
So to the basement then?
Yes, let's go to the basement. Get out of the way. So, where's the attic? Up? Was there more stairs to go up out there?
Aren't we in the attic?
Oh, yeah, let's try this door here.
Rose had pointed to a specific door, I believe.
She pointed to a spot on the dollhouse, but I didn't know we knew where that was. Alright. That way.
Right.
It was right here.
Oh, wait. So many pigs! Don't tell me
You
what
were
to do! Like. Alright. Strix will just push ahead. And open the door.
This dusty chamber is packed with old furniture, chairs, coat racks, standing mirrors, dress mannequins, and the like, all draped in dusty white sheets. Near an iron stove, underneath one of the sheets, looks to be about the shape and form of a large trunk.
I will go over to the trunk. Oh yeah, let's just step in the middle there. I'm sure that's fine. That'll be fine.
Baracus is sort of standing back in the bedroom there, and I'm just sort of like peering around the corner, like hugging the door frame.
Strix has a childish hop to her feet, and she's just like all gung ho, like she knows exactly where we're going. Oh, as if I don't. What'd you find there, little one?
Me?
Zalfar, you walk up to one of the walls and push down on it, and when you push down on it, it opens up to reveal a downward spiraling staircase.
Guys, I think this is it. Found it.
While everyone's looking about, I'll walk around and lift up each sheet and look underneath it. I want to see what's under it.
Most of the sheets, when you lift it up, are unremarkable furniture that has been sitting up here in storage. But when you lift up that sheet, it is a unlocked wooden trunk. Do you open the trunk?
it.
Out
Open
of pure
it.
curiosity, I will flip the lock or flip the latch and open it.
You find skeletal remains, judging by the hips, perhaps female, wrapped in a tattered bedsheet stained with dry blood. Give me a medicine check. Judging by the nicks and chips on the various ribs and bones, you can verify that this woman was stabbed to death multiple times. Or stabbed to death with multiple knife wounds. That's what I meant to say.
Isn't that how the spirit down below complained of dying?
You recall that, yes, the ghostly form of the matron down below, her clothing did have multiple holes in it, as though it were stabbed many times.
I will kneel, take just a single knee, and holding my holy symbol, bless and make a gesture over the forehead of the skull, hoping that she can find rest. in that Denier help her cross over and find solace in the afterworld that she could not find in life.
You feel a warm hum course through you.
And I speak to the team. I believe I found the remains of the spirit down below, the one that that we encountered in the bedroom. I've offered what I can to hope that she sinks